Welcome to the Artist Academy podcast, a place where we focus on the business side of art to help you attract more customers, increase profits, and ultimately live a life of creativity and financial freedom. I'm your host, Andrea Earhart, and this is May Mural Month. Murals are the most profitable part of my art business and the way I'm able to make six figures while painting maybe 3/4 of the year. I love to take time away to travel, relax, work on side projects like the book I just wrote, all the things. And, getting paid the big bucks through painting murals is what allows all of those other things to happen easily. This month I'll be interviewing muralists exclusively to talk about how they built their businesses and dissecting their strategies to give you the knowledge to do the same. Plus, I've made this extra special training just for you, the person who is interested in dabbling into murals. I've made this training for you, completely lay out the benefits and strategies of getting your own mural business up and running. You can check that out at artistacademy.co/muralmaster. The link is right here in the podcast. Just look at the description and click on the link, artistacademy.co/muralmaster. It is a full training just for you, all about murals. If you're listening to this and you're like, okay, you guys make great money, we get it. I can do this too, I think maybe, and I'll lay it all out for you, exactly how to get it started and give you even more examples of people who are doing it well. And I want to help get you started. And this episode features Nashville-based muralist Tarabella Aversa, and I love talking with fellow muralists about the day-to-day tasks, customer interaction, and outreach, and most of all, the money that comes from this line of work. And it's so funny, the similarities that all of these muralists from across the globe have, but I'm intrigued every time someone tells me that they do something differently. In this interview, Tarabella talks about starting out with photo op art, which gave her the exposure to kickstart her mural career. So same as me, painting wings. But there were so many differences in our pricing strategies, being like, I price by the hour and she prices by the square foot, and our artist competition demographics. She's surrounded by a male-dominated crowd, and all I see around me are other female muralists, possibly because I'm training them and just because I like other females, so I get to know them better. But there's no 100% right way to break into this industry, which is why I love giving you a variety of methods from a variety of different artists so that you can decide for yourself the best way to go about it. So let me know what you think about this week's episode with Nashville-based artist Tarabella Aversa. Hey guys, we are here with Tarabella, and she's going to answer all of your mural questions for you today. So to get started, can you tell us a little bit about who you are, how you got into the arts, and all that fun introductory stuff?
Well, I am from Nashville, Tennessee, grew up in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and I've been painting since I could hold a paintbrush. I don't have any classical training at all. I'm mainly self-taught. My mother is a really great artist, but she's been doing hair for like 42 years. And I grew up in a salon. I've been a color specialist for about 14 years. I took regular art classes in high school. But other than that, I just needed to do something that I could provide for myself, which I was good at doing hair. So I was pushed into that because, you have the guidance counselors that say, Tara, think realistically, artists don't make money, that whole thing, But I always just did it for myself. And I kind of got into it through therapy as a kid. It was like a way of coping. So it really started there. But my mom had a lot to do with it. She was getting me all the art stuff and all the art supplies and like rose art magic markers. And when I started drawing on the walls, she was like, you can draw inside your closet. And it started there, which was fun.
Okay, so how did that go from drawing on the walls in your closet to now you have a mural business?
I mean, that transition was insane. It was a client of mine. I mean, I'd always done it like in high school. I had painted like babies' rooms and stuff just for fun through my mother's clients. And then when I moved back to Tennessee about 6-7 years ago, one of my clients, she was a new client, just moved down from New York. And she and I hit it off, which my family's from New York. She was like, I'm opening up a bar in East Nashville and I really want to find a mural artist. And I don't know what the hell told me that I could do this, but I just said yes, that I could do it. And that was my first job. And ever since then, it kind of domino affected. So it
Yeah.
was like first exterior mural at a popular location in East Nashville. And it's kind of how it happened. But I was doing hair and murals for like 2 years, which was very hard on my body.
Okay, so you started with this one hair client, right? And she started asking you to do a mural job, and then it just dominoed from there. So did you start posting them online, and that's how people started to find you? Or did it just come from her?
It wasn't just that. And I did start posting online. I created like a separate Instagram because once I saw that that was catching on, because there was a total of 4 murals in this one bar. And it's connected to a bunch of other restaurants and bars. So people were seeing it and passing by and they're taking photos in front of it and all that. So they needed a place to tag that. It got a lot of traction from that one. And then when my other clients who own a couple of other restaurants in Nashville, when they saw that I painted, they're like, oh, we're opening up a restaurant downtown. We would love for you to do some line work in there. And again, it was like one thing after another. So it was word of mouth, Instagram mainly. And I did a little bit of outreach, but I didn't start understanding outreach until later. But in this case, I mean, I live in Nashville where everyone wants to take a photo in front of a mural tourist one. So it just gained traction that way. But yeah.
Okay. What was this mural of, the first one that people wanted to take photos in front of? Because that's a similar path that I took. I painted wings and it was just a magnet for people to take photos in front of. So it sounds like yours is very similar.
Yes, it is. And like Kelsey Montague, she's our girl here for the wings. But it was like that. It was the bar is called Walden Bar, and it's based off of, I want to say, Henry Thoreau's Walden Pond book. So I wanted to take florals from the actual area and to create like a geometric center for someone to stand in front of, like inside a diamond. But it had like a triangle and a diamond, and it was off color. Some of it's black and white, and then some of it is color, but it's just a huge floral wall that's a bunch of different colors. And there was that one. And then there was the line work in the back of the bar. That was really cool. And it looks like a tattoo design of the same florals. Then there's another one that they installed swings inside the bar. And behind it, I did like a lake scene in black and white. It was really cool. Eventually I did another lips mural on the adjacent side so that when you go down Gallatin, which is like a main street in East Nashville, that you would see the flower wall this way and then the lips wall that way.
Very cool. Okay. How long did these first ones take you? And I asked that because I remember in the beginning, like days or weeks would take me to do it. And now it's just kind of, you just roll them out.
Right. I'm actually kind of opposite of you. So I'm really fast like in the beginning, I was really fast. And then the longer I got into the career, I started to slow down a little bit and get more precise. My first one that I did at Walden, which was inside, is the interior in the back of the bar. That took me like 10 hours for a wall that's about like 12 by 14 feet. That was like 10, 11 hours for that.
How did you know how to price your first ones? And
I didn't.
How did you price them?
I didn't. I did it by day. I just figured it would be $1,000 a day. I had no idea. I didn't know how to do it, but now I do it by per square footage and level of detail. But it used to be how long it's going to take me. And then I found out, I was like, wait, this isn't, let's think. Okay, supplies. And then you've got per day and you're fast. And then when I found out in comparison to other artists, especially after I'd gotten my first like 10, 15 murals, I mean, I was like, I've been doing it wrong this whole time. But now I know.
Okay, so you do it by square foot. How much per square foot do you typically charge?
My average is $25 per square foot. Any portraiture or architecture, it's $30 per square foot. And then I have a minimum of $1,500. So it usually, and I like to really gauge it based on what the person wants. So consultation is really key, and visuals and all that. And then I'll point them to like my Instagram so that they can see the different, because I have a wide range of what I can and what I can't do. And I ask them to go look at it and see what their eyes gravitate towards detail wise that they like. Not necessarily what they want the subject to be, but what they like visually.
Okay, I gotcha. Okay, so the 25 and $30 per square foot, that includes the consultation and that includes the supplies, and includes the time and everything. You just batch it up into one?
Not necessarily. So I do include paint and I do include consultation time. It does not include any scissor lifts or cherry pickers or anything like that. That's also built into the contract when they see that. But if they want a design fee without commitment of a signed contract, then that's a separate 250 for one mock-up.
Okay, yeah. That just saves you from, doing extra work for no money.
Yeah, it's like it's
I
time
think
is money. It's so important. And
yeah.
yeah, and I have a separate contract for that as well. So it's like design fee contract. So most people don't want to commit to something, but it's so that they can't say, I don't like this mock up. I want my money back. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because we've all done mock-ups to where we're like, you think the customer is 100%, and then they back out for some stupid reason, and you're like, oh, okay, that's great.
Yeah, totally waste my time, but it's fine. That's why time is money. And then because you could have multiple things going on, like when you're doing a mural, I'm also working on like 3 different commissions, and then mock-ups for other murals a few months from now. So it's protecting your time. Key. Absolute key.
Yeah. Do you work 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, or what's your schedule like?
It really doesn't end.
Yeah.
I know you know. Does it end? No. I don't have a regular set schedule. So every day I am sending out emails because nobody talks about like the business side and everything that goes underneath all the commissions and everything. I work 7 days a week.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Basically. Yeah. I should probably take a break.
Yeah. Whatever you want to do, though, in the beginning, I was one that I worked 7 days a week because it's like, how can I give up this, like, $1,000 a day, kind of like, or however much you're making? Like, it's hard to pass that up. And just recently, I'm like, nope, I'm not doing it. I'm working like 5 days a week. I'm just like burnt out.
Yeah, you get burnt out. I get burnt out to the point where I'm like, okay, well, you know what? I'm taking a month off. So I'm forcing myself to take the month of July off this year.
Woo! Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
Yeah. I actually see, and then I'm like, Tara, that's still work. I'm going to London and I'm setting up a couple interviews up there. And then I'm also going to be in New York, more so doing networking and outreach. I have a wall on hold up there. And then, yeah, I'm just trying to get my stuff out there, but I'm not going to be painting or doing mock-ups or any commissions this July. That I have promised myself, but I am definitely going to network.
That's perfect. Yeah. And that's great because you're just getting any kind of break away from, your arms, you going, up and down and doing the swipes of the paintbrush all day. Like getting that break and that mental break helps so much.
Oh yeah. And I mean, like sometimes you're on a ladder working around pipes and then you craned like this way for 5 seconds, not even 5 seconds. I'm talking like hours going back to the same spot and it kills you. So regular massages, I've learned to invest in that and I'm like right off.
Yep. Yep.
Chiropractor, just fix me. I'm burning my body out. But if you like something, if you're on a commission and it's a project that you really love, that's when I'm like, it doesn't feel like I'm working 7 days a week.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, but if it's something that I'm like, oh man, I do not like this.
Yeah. And the money helps. Can I ask you like how much you're making like per week or month and whatnot? I ask that because there's a lot of listeners who, that like making money as a full-time artist is so far in their mind and they're like, I don't know, like, so I think just, showing how much money can be made specifically with murals. I think,
yes,
murals are the biggest money maker in the art world that I personally have known of.
Yeah, they 100% do. And honestly, with murals and pricing, it'll fluctuate a lot because it's like you can make a large sum of money in 1 month, and then the next month be dead. And that was in the beginning. Yeah. But like now that I'm consistently doing it on average, the average I bring in is anywhere between 6 and 20 grand in a month.
That's actually very similar to mine. I wasn't sure what you were going to say. And I was like, actually, that is very similar. it really just depends on how hard I want to work too.
Yeah, definitely. And it's on how hard you want to work. And also, like, I've learned to get selective about the jobs that I want and saying no to jobs that I don't want instead of having a scarcity mindset. And this is another thing that I also had to learn. I think that there's a difference between female street artists and male street artists. What I notice is that the men aren't as afraid to quote and talk about money. I had to learn to price what I'm worth through trial and error, and I don't have to do that anymore. So it's really important that you aren't afraid to talk about money, especially upfront.
Yeah, it is funny how guys just don't really care about a lot of different things, and we just kind of have a more reserved side. But we're trying to change that.
It's
with the podcast.
I know it's like, but it's good that we're talking about it because I am always so afraid. Like if let's say I had an interview for a wall in the Gulch here, and it's a huge wall. It's like the size of a football field wall, and it would have costed that one wall with the quoting. For what they were wanting. And they were interviewing a couple different people. It would have been an $85,000 wall. And I was so scared at first. And they're like, do you have a quote idea? Can you give me a ballpark? And I'm like, it's going to range anywhere between this and this, which is 75,000 to 85,000. And they're like, okay, without blinking an eye, but on the inside, I'm like, oh God, this is a lot of money.
Yeah, it is a lot of money, but that's exciting. How long would that wall have taken you?
It depends on the design. They didn't end up going with me, but that's okay. But a wall that big for what it sounded like it was going to take me, and it was partially covered. So weather has a huge thing to do with murals. It would have probably taken me 20 days.
Oh, wow. 85,000 in 20 days. I was thinking like 2 months.
I've always been pretty fast. But sometimes I get into a groove of it and I can knock something out in 2 hours, or I get into a mental rut, almost like writer's block, where something could take me I could only do 10 by 10 feet in one day and it not be much. And then the next day I could do 30 feet. And it's all about where my mental space is. I don't know why it is that way, but I just learned to go with it.
Yeah. There's something about just plugging into a podcast or an audiobook and just going at it. Do you listen to anything while you paint?
I do. There is a morning show that I love called The Burt Show. And they're based out of Atlanta and they are so funny. So I'll listen to that. And then I love history because I'm a total nerd, but women in history, they just the Tudors and all that. And so I listen to a podcast called Queen's Podcast, and they're funny as hell too. But I like learning things as I'm painting.
Yeah.
Which is fun.
Okay, the Queen's Podcast, great, because I'm always looking for other things to listen to, because it really is. If you have something good to listen to, it's it just makes the painting day so much easier.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And they do cuss a lot, but I mean, I cuss a lot, so it's
yeah, same.
Yeah, and they're a lot of fun.
Perfect. Is there a lot of competition for you in Nashville? Because you remember, you just saying that you did a bid and they didn't go for you. Does that happen very often, or?
Yeah, I mean, there is a decent amount of competition here in Nashville. However, what I love about the most talented mural artists here is that we're all so freaking humble. And if one person can't do a project, we'll pass it off to the other one. So Nathan Brown, he's a big muralist here and kind of all over. If he can't get a job, or if he can't do a job, he will send it to me. Or if I can't get a job, I will send it to another girl. Let's say I'm already booked. There's that. But then there's also, we all really respect, I feel like we all really respect each other in terms of, I don't think I would be a good fit for this, but I think this other person would.
Okay. Yeah.
So if that makes, and there's really only a handful of us in Nashville. I'm one of 3 female mural artists in Nashville that people know of.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Some of them they're getting up there, but
yeah, that's so funny too. Because anytime I'm interviewed on podcasts or whatnot, they're like, "How does it feel to be a woman in a male-dominated industry?" And then
we all just
equals, yeah. And then funny, but in Springfield here, I've trained and I know so many female muralists that have come up. And so that's all I know here.
Yeah.
And I like know a couple guys, but they're
Really?
not like all that busy. And so, yeah, it's very much a female dominated thing here.
Oh
I
my
feel like.
gosh. That's so cool. I'm going to have to come out to Springfield just to like come. I like to meet other artists in general, but like here it is male dominated.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, we don't want it to be too feminine. And I'm like, okay.
It's like, okay, so I won't do flowers. Great. Like,
Sounds good.
What you want. Yeah. That's so funny. I've heard a lot about, it being a male dominated thing in a lot of other cities. I think this is just a rare thing.
Oh yeah, it definitely is. I think that's why it's like, I noticed I kept getting put into a box a few years ago. And so I started going for the jobs that I wanted and knew that I could do. And so I've created my own style with an overlap of time because I'm trying to move away from the interactive murals because I feel like that is more Kelsey Montague. That is a specific style and that is all leaning towards the tourists in Nashville, which is great because you're going to get, that is also awesome because that's a whole other demographic, which is incredible. And you're going to get booked left and right. I'm trying to do more of like Wynwood Walls and like how L Street Art, her work in New York. And I'm trying to get a little edgier and a little edgier and a little edgier and then bring the softness with it and kind of combine the two. I don't really know how to explain that, but here's the other good thing about here in Nashville with the artists is that we're all very different. Our styles are all very different. So
yeah, is it something? So like, can you go around and be like, oh, I know who did that just by looking at it?
Oh yeah, I know exactly who did that. Yeah, and we all know each other, so it's like,
yeah.
I saw Moby. He was finishing a wall downtown for the Titans, and I was like pulling up in my car on my way to go to do a mural too. And mine was interior and I'm beeping and he's like, just, people will beep at you. He's like, oh, hey, he's doing this massive wall, but like, it's just really cool. Everyone here is super nice.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's good that you guys don't look at it as like a crazy competition type thing either. And so how was it breaking into the mural industry? Because since there are some other, big time muralists around.
It was intimidating. I was actually really scared. So when I was doing that mural for the Walden Bar, so at that time there was only one female mural artist in town that was not actually in town. And it was Kelsey Montague.
Oh,
so the Wings in the Gulch. That's it.
Ooh,
that's all that was there.
She's like the world-known muralist.
Yeah. So that, and if I had $1 for every time someone asked me if I was the girl who painted the Wings in the Gulch, I would be so rich. I'm like, what? Because I'm a woman? No.
That's so funny. Well, I do wings, and a lot of people ask me, "Hey, did you paint the ones in Nashville?" Yeah. And I'm like, "No," but I could see why you would think that. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. There's other people that do that too.
Yeah.
But no, when I was painting, actually the guys from East Side Boys, a couple of them, I want to say it was Follick, and he is absolutely incredible or was it Sterling? I don't remember. He came up to me and he's like, hey, because they had been trying to get that wall for a while. And then they saw that I got it. And they're like, oh, who is it? They were like, when they were building out the bar and everything, I'm back there painting. So Katie, who's now my best friend, she was the owner and my client. She opens the door while I'm painting and it's East Side Boys. And they're like, hey, so did you get our email? We want to do this whole mural on the side of your building and we think it's going to be great. And she's like, I'm sorry, we decided to go with another painter. Like, oh, who is it? And they didn't know because no one had heard of me. And honestly, no one had seen my work publicly before at all. Like I've painted my whole life, but first time ever showing my work publicly is scary. And then when I went to the outside, they showed up again and they're like, hey, so how long have you been painting? Like, how do you price and all that? And he's gauging me and I know he's sizing me up. And I was trying not to get offended by it and I didn't. Because now that I've talked to them later and now that I think that there needed to be a little bit of like a mutual respect there. And they could see that I wasn't just, I don't know. It's like they're turf because they're East Side Boys and this is East Nashville. And they have all these different murals around town. They're so freaking talented. But I think it was just because they hadn't heard of me before. I don't know. It was definitely scary, but I was getting sized up a little bit by a couple of the guys in town. So
yeah. Yeah. I think they just wanted to get to know who you were and just see and make a connection, networking, like exactly like we all do.
Yeah. Yeah. And he was very nice. I think it's just like, what's with the a million questions? And then the New York in me came out and I was like,
You're like, yeah. Well, I mean, I imagine you're feeling intimidated. So really any kind of interaction with an artist that's really experienced would be even more intimidating.
Oh yeah. I was definitely intimidated. I knew exactly who he was. I was like,
if I was talking to Kelsey Montague right now, I'd be like, oh my God, hi, hello.
She's so nice, I hear.
I've talked to her sister. I've interviewed her sister here on the podcast.
Oh, that's so
she's
cool.
just so nice. Yeah.
I've heard nothing but amazing things from them or about them.
Yeah. Okay, so we have a couple questions here. Members of the Artist Academy, Becca Perry, she says, mural question. Painting a mural on exposed but pressure-treated plywood, i.e. treated wood, is a good primer and exterior latex sufficient for that?
Yes, I think so. I haven't painted much on plywood, but honestly, you go to Home Depot and you get that big latex primer, white or black, but making sure that that's even key. Or you could pressure wash it.
It's even? What do you mean?
Making it like an even coat, like because priming can, like, what's great about primer, you can build on it. But I don't really paint on plywood that much, but I think it should be fine using the regular latex primer. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. They also have that like MDO board. Have you ever painted on that? It's like a pressure treated, plywood kind of. I think it's maybe what she's.
Cool.
Yeah, and it's what people do exterior murals on. I put in a couple bids to do stuff like that, and they've never landed. And I'm like, I want to paint on this board so bad.
Yeah.
I can paint it inside and just install it. That's
into panels. I have heard of. Was it Kelsey that did it? I'm not sure if it was plywood, but it was for Taylor Swift's album cover. It was a temporary mural that they I don't know. I'll have to find that out. I'm not sure. I'm so sorry. I wish I knew a better answer to that, but I would just think that.
Yeah, I would think so too. Especially if you're using the MDO board, I think that'll be fine. Yeah. What kind of different textures do you usually paint on? Are you lucky enough to get on a flat wall most of the time, or is it like brick or?
And one of my favorite murals is actually on really old brick, and the brick was deep, real deep. But I like painting on brick a lot. I hate painting on fresh brick. Hate it. Because it'll soak up all the paint. I get I've gotten a lot of smooth concrete walls, which is awesome. And metal corrugated walls are really hard to do like sharp lines on, but I've done that.
Corrugated metal. It's like my worst. I'm like, put an extra couple thousand on the bid for that.
Yes, absolutely. That really, 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 especially if they want any kind of lettering.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I like painting on brick the most.
You do? What?
I love brick. What? I love the way that the art looks on brick. I love it.
Okay, maybe like that. Like what? Wait, what? Explain that.
I love painting on brick walls. I love it. I think it looks so good with the art.
Okay. I like
personally. I love it. It destroys my brushes. I don't get good, like expensive brushes. I use absolute crap brushes because they're going to get ruined.
Yeah.
I would also mix my paint on the wall. I don't mix it in the thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just like the way that it looks. I don't know why, especially black and white on brick. I love that.
Okay. Yeah. I can see the end result. I like the process of it. I like to be inside, like maybe like a kid's bedroom wall, and it's like flat and it's air conditioned. Like that's a good day.
Oh yeah. That is a good day. You don't have to worry about the weather. You know that people are going to leave you alone. You don't have to worry about paper wasps and being 6 stories up in the air and
paper wasps.
Yeah. Wasps are a thing here. So I built it into my contract. And when you're painting, sometimes you will find a nest in the middle of summertime.
Ew. Oh yeah. No.
They're awful. I hate them. I hate things that fly and sting. And I hate heights, but I love painting.
What do you do? Actually, this happened at our mural meetup last year. We had like 20 artists come in and we painted on corrugated metal, of course. And there was a wasp
nest.
It makes
it hotter.
up above. Yeah. And there's a wasp nest and we like tried to spray it with stuff. And then one person got stung and I'm like, oh my gosh. Like so do you spray it with stuff or do you avoid it or how did like?
Now it is built into my contract that because a lot of the murals that I'll do, everybody likes to postpone all their projects until summertime. And here in Nashville, it is hot as balls. Like it is hot. And the hotter it is, the more wasps, for whatever reason, tend to be out. So I've built it into my contract that they have to spray for wasps before I even touch the wall.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Because I am afraid of heights and it's heavy machinery, I always have the lift on bunny mode or not bunny mode, on turtle mode, not bunny mode, because I can take out drywall like with it. You got to be careful with it. So it's not like you have anywhere to move. You know, you can't run away from a wasp in the area. You just have to,
yeah.
You have to be calm, which is hard.
Yeah. Yeah. I too do not like heights. That's a funny thing too, because this is what we signed up for. I feel like after you're up there for a little bit, you kind of get used to it, you know, and like the bouncy isn't too bad, but
it's not, it takes a little bit at first, especially if I haven't been really high in a long time. And then like the wind blows and the bucket will shake, you know, but I agree. I think after a few hours that fear starts to go away.
Yeah. I guess the main thing that people want to know coming in is like, how are you getting your customers? Like nowadays versus then. You mentioned you did a little bit of pitching in the beginning.
Oh yeah. And I did a little bit of pitching. I didn't quite understand how to pitch, but mostly I've gotten really lucky through word of mouth, and the walls that I have are in high foot traffic areas. There's that. And then I recently was on the home edit it's a show on Netflix. And so since then I've been getting jobs. And then before that, some of the people in town have really promoted me as well. It really has been word of mouth, but it's a lot of hard work. Basically, I used to go through town and see walls that I loved, absolutely loved. And I'm like, I really want to put a mural on that wall. So I would go up to the owner and find out who the owner is. And I would talk to them, set up a meeting, and then send them a keynote pitch for said wall. And I used to do that like all day. And I was constantly networking. I would go into like restaurants, and two of my best friends work in the restaurant industry and management. They know all the GMs in town, and Nashville is a booming city right now. So I would go to all of the grand openings with them. I would get invited to like Tales of the Cocktails down in New Orleans and talk to a bunch of different business owners that are with like mainly like liquor companies through one of my friends, but I've gotten jobs from that. And then it really is just word of mouth. But I think Erin Opria has also really helped my career a lot. Her name's Erin Opria. She's a celebrity trainer here in Nashville. And I painted the whole back side of her house, and she'll give me shout outs left and right. I'm just a kind person. And then Netflix. But those things, like when you get an opportunity, take it, even if you don't think that you can do it. If it's something that is at that level of, I don't know, exposure, just say yes and make it work. So that's good advice that I feel like is you could be stressed out to the nine, but like, I think that especially the past 2 years that helps. And then making meetings and going to cities that you really want to paint in, and then finding those artists, setting up a meeting with them, all that. Like I'm going to be going to Australia to go meet Danielle Weber at one point, like either this year or next year, but I'm determined to get my ass out there.
Yeah, exactly. That I love that you say that too, which is why we started doing these mural meetups. Because so people could come. We're doing one in Cozumel here in like not very long, and then we're doing. I know, right?
That's so awesome.
Yeah, so we're going down there, and like it's artists from all over, but doing just like you said, you know, just flying to go paint with an artist who can teach you something, or at least networking or showing that you can paint in places other than where you live. And so we're having one in Missouri too, which isn't like
that's
where
incredible
I'm from.
Though. I mean, it's still like you're doing the outreach, you're doing what you need to do to go get it. Now, she has not asked me to paint with her, by the way. I want to be very clear on that. However, I am planning on meeting up with her at some point. And she's been great. I'll message her every now and then, get her advice, and she's great at like responding and all that. But she's amazing and someone that I've looked up to for a long time.
I'm going to try to interview her I'm going to get her information. I'm not sure exactly who you're talking about, but
Danielle Weber is like she's insanely talented. She's based out of Australia. Dwayne Johnson kind of like helped her career, which was insane. Yep. Danielle's a person that I think that you would really, really like. And she's got her whole thing on NFTs and very successful, very smart, very insightful. Just anytime that I've been like in a rut or had a question to ask, and like I will ask her, and she's always great at just getting back to me and just super honest. And
I love that.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I love that. And I also just want to point out that, you know, she hasn't invited you to come, but that doesn't mean, you know, like, right. So like for people listening, like if there's an artist that you want to paint with, just message them. Because every single time someone says, hey, I want to paint with you, I'm like, great, come down.
Well, like, I have asked her if I could, like, when I come out there, if we could meet her, if I could take her for coffee at some point. And she was like, yeah.
Yeah.
Love it.
So I'll just real quick. You said you mentioned you did, what was it? A PowerPoint deck you would pitch or
like a keynote.
A keynote deck.
I don't know the right terms for anything, but again, technology is not my friend. But on my laptop, there's a thing called Keynotes, and I will create like my work and the difference in the body of my work, my experience on it, and like a short bio, and then current work with links to my website and Instagram. And then at the end of it, I do a statement of proposal where I've already taken a photo of this wall, gotten the measurements, and then I come up with an idea. I also do research on their brand. So if there's a wall that I really like, I will go to the website, get a good gist of what they're looking for, and then be able to, in that statement of proposal, explain, hey, I would love to paint this wall for you. I can keep it in the brand. If you have a budget, like, because sometimes what I'll do is, let's say their budget isn't a lot. I will then pitch, if they allow me more creative freedom to paint what I want, because it is, I think, a fact that when you are given more creative freedom, the artwork always comes out better. So even if someone can't pay you what it's worth, if you can recreate like a pitch in that statement of proposal for them and then show them your other work, because you could bring foot traffic to their business, and then someone sees that, and then you get an even bigger job. But like definitely going and doing your research and looking at their branding. So I'll quote them, and then I put in the statement of proposal, if this is too high for your budget, however, I will absolutely work with you with creative freedom. Let me know what you think. Thank you so much for your time and your consideration. And then I will send it out. And if I don't get a follow-up email, I will go to the shop at some point, or I'll call ahead and see if I can set up a meeting, even just to say hi and introduce myself. That part was hard because it's like, hey, I love this wall. I would love to paint for you, but you have to pay me for it. It always feels awkward saying that. However, if there is a wall that you want so badly, you do what you have to go get it.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, that's so true. And, you know, I remember in the beginning, I did something very, very similar to yours. And although mine wasn't as thought through, I'll admit, I was just like, hey, this is what I want to do, blah, 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 blah. Like, and then there was no like big presentation, but I love that you did that. And I think, because it really is, if you make it once, like 75% of the thing you're going to say is made once. And then you just add a little bit at the end. This is what I want to do. This is how I can, you know, put it to your brand, and then go. How many no's did you get? Because oh my gosh. Yeah. I just pitched like a color wall here in Springfield, and they just said no. And I'm like, I am not used to hearing no now. Cause like I typically now they come to me and like, but I really want to do this thing. Like Springfield doesn't have it yet, and I really want to do it. I think it'd be great. And they're just like, no. I'm like, ugh. Oh, like, I know. Oh, I know. And it's like, especially if it's an idea that you have that you're obsessed with. Yeah. I like when I go to do pitches or when I go to do meetings and they don't have an idea of what they want, that's when I give them those designs. However, I've been told no a bajillion times. And I'm like, oh, God. Yeah. Just, in Nashville, I'm trying to like break out of Nashville murals just because it's like everybody wants the same thing. Over my shoulder, Dolly Parton commission. Oh, no. But everybody is like, I want Dolly. Johnny Cash. I want wings. I want this. I want that. Not that but everybody wants the same thing here. And I'm trying to like transition
Nashvillians into getting away from the bachelorette scene.
Oh, I was in Nashville last summer for a bachelorette party. Oh my God.
How was your liver? Because
like it was so much fun, but it was so funny because like we thought we were being like, we're like, well, we'll get the, the off pink shirts with the fun saying on it. We met girls who had the exact same shirts.
one.
And like we would go out and like freaking, they were everywhere. It was like wedding throw up all over. I was like, okay, well, let's just have another beer.
It's fun though. It's so Nashville is so much
fun
for that. And it is like such a, like, this is one of the top places for bachelorettes to come, and then they see like the Wings in the Gulch and they will wait down that line. Like when you drive down that way, there are people lining the streets and around the corner to take a photo with this wall, which is insane. But like one of my walls is at downtown Broadway at 5th and Broad. So high traffic area. But I wanted to make sure that like whatever wall I have, especially if it's interactive, if you can make multiple placements for people to take photos in said wall, you don't have, because she's got the mini wings on one side and then she's got the big wings in the center, right? So if you can do walls like and then the other one in my that I have in Hillsborough Village, which is my favorite wall I've ever done. That was one that they didn't have the budget, but we had a minimum and agreed on it. And then I went with the brand and I created like a wall that showed my toolbox. And in that, 4 different placements for people to take photos so that no one was congregated on the street about to get hit by a car.
Yeah. Yeah, it is crazy. The lines, like people will set up like snow cone machine things and be like, here, while you're waiting in line for this, would you want a snow cone? Like it's
genius. It is genius.
Yeah. Oh
entrepreneurs helping other entrepreneurs. I love
it. Yeah.
I absolutely love it.
That's awesome. Here in Missouri, everybody wants an American flag or they want something to be rustic, which is fine. Like I like to do either of those, but it's like all the time. I just got asked for another American flag one. And I'm like, I have this one American flag that I can get done really quick and it looks really good. Done like 4 times in 4 different locations. Nobody knows, but
nobody knows. Oh, I've done 2, but I mean, yeah, but at the same time, it's like, okay, well, how can I make this look better? But I'm sure like by your 4th American flag, you're like, what am I doing?
Yeah. I'm just like more into my audiobooks than I am painting. I'm like, whatever. It's a paycheck.
It's muscle memory at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. I am happy. I'm like you mentioned, like in the beginning, it's like you're learning and you're doing all the things and it's hard. And now it's at this place where it's easy and I like it.
Yeah. I feel like those first few years were like that. It was hard and I loved it. And I just wanted so badly to like get there and like to get to a place where they start to come to me, which is where I'm at now. But that didn't happen until this past, like from last summer to now is when people like I haven't been outreaching as much at all. And when I outreach out of state. But it's so great because it'll come. Just gotta keep at it. And it only takes one wall with eyes on it. One wall.
Yep. So true. With eyes on it, I think is the key too. Because, if you do something in someone's bedroom or whatnot, like it's not
going to get seen.
Exactly. It's just public art. It's such a great way to start. And so I love having you on here to talk more about it because it just, it echoes what I tell people. And it's nice to see somebody in a completely different city with a completely different dynamic and style doing something very similar and you're making it and you're making a great living. And it's just, I think it's great. So thank you so much for coming on here.
Thank you for having me. Such an honor. Such an honor. And I've followed you for a while. So it was great talking to you. You're incredible. And like, I think if more artists are like this, that like fear-based barrier will start to get knocked down. And I think everybody will be better for it and make more money from it because artists can make money.
Lots of it.
Lots of it.
Yep. And women in art too. Women in murals. Like
it's always funny when they have that conversation because it's like that first question, like when you meet a stranger anywhere, like let's say you're on a flight, what do you do for a living? I'm like, oh, well, I'm but no. And you tell them I'm an artist and they're like, oh, cool.
That's
they usually make cute. That's cute. So what's your real job? And I'm like, no, that's what I do.
That's what I do. Why would you like a mural?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get a job out of that.
Yep. I always go straight to my phone pictures and I'm like, look what I can do. And then they take you seriously. Right. And then I'm like, look, maybe like, do you have an open wall? Like, so yeah.
I'll get heckled even halfway through my mural process by like commentary. What does that look like over there? Is that a corn on the cob? Are you painting a snake or something? You know what I mean? And I'm like, no, but thank you. And then they take you seriously after that. They're like, holy shit, you can actually paint. And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, thanks. Pay me. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on here. And yeah, let's keep in touch.
Yes, absolutely. It was an honor talking to you. Thank you so much.
That's it. And if you're listening to this episode and thinking, fine, I'll give murals a shot, I've made this extra special training video for you to completely lay out the benefits and strategies to getting your own mural business up and running. Check that out at artistacademy.co/muralmaster. The link is right here. If you're too lazy to type it in, you can just click or just go to artistacademy.co/muralmaster. And I'm going to walk you through all the ways to get started, plus give you even more examples of people and how they're doing it, and just all the ways to make great money as a muralist. I can show you literally everything: how to paint, how to promote. Murals are the one I'm so excited that we're doing May Mural Month again, because that's the one thing that I like really have down. Like if somebody comes to me and they're like, hey, I need help with my business, blah, blah, blah. I'm always like, so do you want to try murals? Cause like you can make a lot of money with that. And like, I can tell you exactly how to get started. And they're always so hesitant. And then as soon as someone gets their first window painting, they're like, you were right. Like because of this, we did that, because of that, and it's not as hard. And I'm like, I know. And then a couple of years later, they're making the big bucks, and then they never look back. Painting big is so much fun. It's really not that intimidating. It's just using a bigger paintbrush, and I can show you how. But artistacademy.co, you'll get a sneak peek of how to get your mural biz started. All right, I'll see you next week.